Okay guys, today we're going to be making a special video. I got my good friend Ethan. If you guys remember, we did a video about how to buy Bitcoin. If you missed that video, it's below this video. There's a link there. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the price of Ethereum and where it's going to go in the future. Because currently right now...
Oh my God, it's insane. Ethereum's what, over $200, well over $200 US right now.
Yeah.
We're talking. It's crazy.
So why do you think right now there's this big ramp up in price?
Obviously, some of that has to do with hype, right? We're in this massive hype cycle, and lots of people are trying to get into the blockchain space. I think right now, if you load up coinmarketcap.com, right, you can refresh it. Maybe every half hour you see maybe another billion or 100 million added to the entire cryptocurrency space. The capitalization is insane, but that sort of run-up is definitely causing a lot of interest in the space. Like, it's a self-perpetuating cycle, which is, by the way, how hype bubbles are created, right? So I think we're in for a correction at some point. Impossible to kind of predict exactly when that correction will be, but it's coming. It's imminent.
So let's rewind. We're talking about the hype cycle right now within the whole crypto market cap. What are the main, or what are the key main reasons you think why Ethereum right now is on the rise?
Well, I mean, okay, so it's a compounding issue, right? So one, you have Ethereum just going up in price. That is a hype cycle. People see it going up in price. They want to get in. FOMO comes up. That's fear of missing out. You want to get in on the rise. But also, Ethereum in particular has actual value sort of propositions that make sense. So there's economic use cases where people would want to be interested in this ecosystem. There's a reason that Ethereum would increase in value over time because it has utility in the marketplace. So these two factors combined right now is a massive increase in price. But the thing you have to really remember is that speculation is such a huge factor of that right now. Things don't just typically shoot up in price. Like, we need to go parabolic without a correction. It has to happen at some point, right?
So where do you think all this new money is coming in from?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to speculate. There are definitely institutional pools of money that get involved in cryptocurrency more than, say, a few years ago. So institutional money is definitely coming in, but I think a lot of this is just user money. People seeing an investment opportunity and they want to try to get in on that. Like I said, fear of missing out is a big thing. Also, cryptocurrency in general, I think, has created a lot of millionaires.
Totally.
Right? A lot of people with new money, and they're trying to figure out where to put that money. So those people are spreading around
So
the dollars.
they're essentially becoming the VCs of the space.
Yeah, essentially, it's like a decentralized. Hey, it's capitalism. It's laissez-faire market, right? It is beautiful to watch because it is a really free expression of what the market wants to put money towards. Cryptocurrency space is so appealing to people who really want to see their money grow into more money because there's so many value propositions. It's very cool.
So based on what's going on today with Ethereum price and prices of all cryptos and tokens in general, do you think that this velocity of Ethereum can keep on lasting for the next 6 months, or do you see a correction coming about?
Well, predictions are so tough, right? But I think there's, like I said, a correction is definitely imminent. It's really hard to predict when that correction will be because that is the definition of a hype bubble. You don't really know when the hype dies down. So in the next 6 months, I would definitely see a correction. When it happens is a good question. There's another thing too that we have to consider about Ethereum, and you and I were talking about this earlier, is that it's not like Bitcoin in that it has a limited supply. Ethereum has an increasing supply of tokens.
Yes.
Right? So as people get into the marketplace, if they buy tokens, more tokens are supplied or created, so the space is flooded with more tokens, and if that ever overcomes demand, if more tokens exist than are demanded, then the price will start to be suppressed. But right now, the growth and demand for those tokens is so much higher than the rate of inflation in that supply that we're seeing a massive run up in price. But again, we have to consider that it's not a limited supply. Ethereum does increase in supply.
So do you think these two big factors, because just yesterday or the day before yesterday, we got news that SegWit is for consensus approval for Bitcoin.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently. And based on that news, there could be a potential hard fork of Bitcoin as well, apparently.
Yeah.
But also, we know that sometime this year, or maybe early in January, the proof of stake will slowly start rolling out to the new Ethereum network, both on testnet and mainnet, which could potentially also contribute to another hard fork of Ethereum, depending on if people through consensus want to agree on that new system. So based on that, based on the news of Bitcoin, and based on what we know the roadmap of Ethereum is, could we then kind of say that we could see some interesting numbers coming about maybe in January?
We could see a lot of disruption and confusion. We could see, like you said, Bitcoin could fork. If Bitcoin forks, there will absolutely be a lot of disruption in price.
Huge.
I mean, if you end up with 2 Bitcoins, then suddenly blockchain immutability, the religious value that it is, in my opinion, the unalterable history of the blockchain comes into question at that point, and also the direction into the future of Bitcoin itself comes into question. In Ethereum's case, when we talk about proof of stake, proof of stake is so desired by the community, I don't think it's very contentious. I don't think there is any contention there that creates an Ethereum hard fork. I think that proof of stake is embraced by the miners, by the users, by the nodes, people who are operating all of those different points of the network. So I don't think Ethereum forks. I could be wrong. That's very possible. We have seen Ethereum fork. There is now Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. So we have 2 Ethereums, right? But in this case, I think that the community is so on board with what's going to happen. There's so very little contention. I don't think it's going to fork.
Do you also, would you take into consideration the ICO landscape will also determine the pricing of Bitcoin and Ethereum coming up in the next 6 months?
Ethereum seems to have a lot more appeal for ICO projects
because of easier development on it.
Exactly, that's right. There's so many different vectors of development.
But now you have Bitcoin coming up on Bitcoin.
So there are different avenues of value expression. You could see, again, so many adjustments in the space, but I think Ethereum has established itself so well as essentially a venture capital pool. It is an ICO magnet, right? So I think you're going to see Ethereum continue to dominate that. And again, also as we look at Bitcoin into the future with SegWit, what's going on with whether or not it will fork, there's uncertainty there. I think if you're a developer or if you're somebody with an idea who wants to launch an ICO, I don't think you go to Bitcoin today. I think you go to Ethereum because it's into the future. There's more predictability there. The stability of the environment. Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's summarize. The next 6 months are going to be really interesting.
Yes, they're going to be very interesting.
Now, price can go rapidly up, or it can go the opposite. There can be a correction, it can go down. It's no different than any other market. There are some golden stats over here. That is, Ethereum community is growing. There's more developers. It's easier to build dApps on top of it for ICOs. As you mentioned, there's more interest from institutional investors in Ethereum as opposed to Bitcoin. And due to the fact that Bitcoin, next year it's uncertain the direction that it's going to take per se. So, I'm very long on Ethereum. I think for me, I'm going to be holding Ethereum for a very long time. It has nothing to do with the token, it has nothing to do with the crypto itself. It has to do with the fact that I really believe that the technologies coming from it have huge potentials to disrupt and transform many different layers of the economy that we know.
Sure. I'm also very long on Ethereum, but I battle daily with the notion of just going to a beach and sipping Mai Tais for the rest of my life.
Then it gets boring.
It gets boring, but I mean, I like Mai Tais. No, I'm also very long on Ethereum. The space in general, though.
Yes.
I'm also very long on the space in general. There are so many. I've referred to very often as a crypto economy as a modern day gold rush.
Yes.
There's so many different projects with different value propositions. Frankly, it's impossible for me to keep up, and all I do is look at blockchain.
I can't. It's ridiculous.
It's insane. So I think that if you put some effort into finding a project that makes sense, is appealing, you're going to find something.
And know everything about it. Just dive in deep on one thing.
Yeah, just focus and try to research it. There are so many opportunities in the space. It's mind-blowing.
Cool. Awesome. We'll wrap it at that. Okay, guys, if you want any more videos like this, leave a comment below this video, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Ta-da.